Well, welcome back. I am working on Shrimpie's head now. Gotten Gary all finished. So now we're going to start blocking in Shrimpie. So let me get my maul stick here. This is a rod that with a hook on the end of it. We bought at Container Store years and years ago. And it hooks over the top of my easel, and then I can rest my wrist on it to steady my hand as I paint the detail. So I've got my reference taped up on the easel next to my painting. And I just begin. First I paint the darker areas of Shrimpie. It's a Dalmatian, so the body is white. I want to keep my pattern of the spots because this is important to, very distinctive to each Dalmatian's spots are different. The light is coming in from the upper left, and so this part of his head and face are in shadow. I'm using mixtures of white plus my mud, which is 2 parts of ultramarine blue and 1 part of alizarin crimson, and plus white. And I've added a little bit of cadmium orange into that. That just warms it just a little bit, and that gives me a nice shadow color for the white. Again, I'll kind of work around the spots. I don't want to lose my pattern of the spots because they're distinctive to each different dog. Now his muzzle, the light's coming in from the left, so his ear is throwing this into shadow right at this point, this part of his head. But then as it comes around, then this part will be in light. I'm going to add a little pink just into the skin on his muzzle. Just a little bit. Don't want much here. In fact, that's too much, but when I come back over it with my white, that'll change. That'll get a little bit softer. Just want a little pink touch to that. Not much. And my original reference photo was very foreshortened, and Shrimpie's muzzle was really way too big. So I've had to make adjustments for that. Working from photographs, you have to be very, very careful because it's so easy. The camera really foreshortens. The camera lies, so you have to be very, very careful. I'm making a mixture now of my white plus a little bit of cadmium orange plus a little bit of ultramarine blue. I want a white that's got a little tone in it because I'm just saving the bright white for the absolute highlights. So that's too orange. Kind of have to just play with it. A little bit grayer with some ultramarine blue. If you mix complementary colors, you get gray, and so the ultramarine blue and the cadmium orange are complementary colors. So by mixing the two together, you get a nice gray. I've added just a tiny bit more blue into that so it won't be so orange. There we go, that's better. Still have to come back and my background is still just a tiny bit wet, so I can come back with a clean brush and soften the back part of Shrimpie's head just a little bit. You want that to go back just a little bit. And I still have some of that color too. I save all my colors till I'm finished with the painting, and I just put them to the left side of my palette. so that then if I need to go back, just like here, I can just take some of that color and come back, and that softens his head there. And Shrimpie's has his, it's really neat, he has heart-shaped spots around both of his eyes. So we'll be doing that. Actually, that little bit of orange in there is working real well here because that makes that part of his head a little bit warmer so it comes forward. And then I'll be coming back with pure white to highlight this. But I want to warm his head with the shadows. It's a little darker in here around his eye. And then the top part of his nose will be his snout, as Jack would call it. Bring some blue back here. Okay, now I'm going to come back with this lighter gray tone. I just work around. Again, I'm using my reference material. It's got a shadow right here along where the side of his head is there, around the orbit of his eye. I'll come back in and put those spots in. Now I'm using the brighter white here, where the light hits his top of his muzzle. I got him a little bit wide there, so I have to come back with some of my background color. And just bring this here. Here under this eye, make the side of his face. Okay, now I'm going to start working those spots around his eye, and for his spots I'm using ivory black. And so, find my pictures here. Okay, these hearts around his eyes. I still keep my sketch, my drawing in here. They're not exactly hard. I mean, they're not perfect hearts, but they do make a heart shape around his eye. And this one comes up. And I'm letting some of that white works into the black spots, which kind of helps soften the edges. Work a little bit more to get this one just right. And then this is makes a heart there. And then this eye is back. You don't see the heart as well from the angle of his head here, but that is heart-shaped also. And now I'm going to put his eyes in. And he has a blue eye and a brown eye. So the eye in the back is brown. And I first put it in with my mix of mud which is, again, 2 parts of ultramarine blue, 1 part of alizarin crimson. Now, a little bit of the white of his eye is showing, and I don't want to use pure white for that because it would be too bright. It would jump forward. So I use some of the same color that I've used for my shadows here. And I put that in. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do both eyes. He's looking directly at us, so he's seeing some of the white of his eyes. Now I go ahead and put this dark of his eye. Now, I will first put the iris in of his brown eye. I'm going to brace my hand here. Let's see, brace it on my easel here. I need to get a little bit closer than what my maul stick allows. Get that brown in for the iris. And then in the center of it's going to be a little bit lighter because the light's coming in from the upper left, so it lightens the iris in the center just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. Let's see. Not quite like that. And then the catch light is going to be up. It's about 11 o'clock. Dark down just a little bit. So there's his brown eye. I still need to make that one part of his iris just a little bit lighter. This may be too light. Okay, got a little spot of light in there, so now I'm going to kind of smooth that in. I still didn't get that. This is just kind of a back and forth. You have to keep playing until you get it right. That's way too light. Now I'll get this. Now it's just a matter of patience. It all comes together in the end. That's a little bit better, but now I need my dark. Go ahead and put the dark back in, and then I'll come back with the light. Do my pupil again. Well, I'm just... Some days you got it, some days you don't. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. There we go, got that. Okay, now let's get that light in there. There we go. Okay, got his brown eye. Now the blue eye, I'm going to use a mix of ultramarine blue plus a tiny bit of my ivory black. Just a tiny bit for the blue part. I'm going to use 2 mixtures. One's lighter, one's darker. Okay. Got that mixed up. Now, let's do this blue eye. First, I do the dark for the pupil. Black spot comes right up to that. Okay, now we'll do the pupil just a little bit darker right in here. Okay, now the iris. Again, is my ultramarine blue plus ivory black. And then the lighter part is, it's going to be in the same place that one is. I kind of got into my pupil just a little bit too much. Okay, let's put that light back in there. Now, this eye is pretty light. That's there. And now let's put the catch light in. And that'll be in the same position as the other eye. So there we go. Let me put the rest of the spots on Shrimpie's face. There's one up here under his ear. This one. And these on his nose. Now these are going to be a little bit lighter because they're in the sunlight. And a little one right here. So there we go. There's Shrimpie's eyes. I've got his head pretty much in. I still have to do his ears and his nose, but this kind of shows you how I do his eye. Get that feel that he's looking straight at us. And I just appreciate you watching my YouTube videos. Visit my blog. I show the complete step-by-step process of this painting in my blog. The link is in the description below. The address is also on the final frame of my YouTube video. You can subscribe to both my blog and my YouTube channel. And I really appreciate you. Please be safe, wear your mask, and you just have a wonderful day. Today is a great day to have a great day. And thanks again.